Thriller, dark fantasy, and science fiction is what you get when you, well, search up genres of Promised Neverland on Google. You see, when it comes to a successful psychological thriller such as Promised Neverland, it really resides in how well the mystery, the action, the drama, and the paranoia are used, while keeping the unseen dangers, untrustworthy characters, and unsettling suspense and enigma. To say that Promised Neverland accomplishes this would be an understatement. Rather, it draws on these terms and brings them to new heights. Every aspect of this anime needs a video of its own. I mean, we simply can't cover the mastery of this in one video, but we can try and bring each of its core elements to light and perhaps allude you to the understanding of why Promised Neverland is like an anime like no other. Now, normally I'd like to start with the storyline, however I'm presuming you've already seen it and have come here to enjoy an in-depth analysis, so if you haven't, literally go watch it. But wait, if you still need more convincing and are okay with light spoilers, watch the rest of this video and then, go watch it. Now, with that being said, let's start with the premise of the story. Simply put, this anime is about an orphanage that is located in the middle of, well, nowhere. Home to over 36 orphans, these orphans were brought up in a world where they know nothing of. They are told not to pass the fence that encloses the orphanage, which is surrounded by, well, pure greenery and what seems like a never-ending forest, which, well, if you do happen to get to the edge, you run into an unclimbable wall. This, moreover, intrigues our main characters, whom nevertheless are the smartest kids in the entire orphanage. They take to it, finding out the deepest and darkest secrets of what lay ahead, and realizing their enemies lay deep within their own roots. Now see, this is just a premise. Again, this review is meant to be as spoiler-free as possible, however light spoilers may occur mostly from episode 1, so if you've already passed that, then you should be good. So I'm trying to stay away from the storyline as much as possible, and rather taking to focus on the tactics, the imagery, and other more in-depth details used in this anime to make it a really, and I mean really good psychological thriller. The premise itself is, well, dreadful. The fact alone that these poor kids are blinded by a light called love, rather fake love in this scenario, this so-called love keeps their doubts in check and prevents them from moreover wanting to accept the truth. That is why it takes only the oldest of the kids to come to terms with the truth once they find out the truth. The truth that is that the orphanage is just a hoax and was not made for a happy-filled life with love that they all assumed they were living, but rather to nurture them, breed them, and bring them up so that they may make of an unbeatable harvest. Yes, a harvest. These kids are just food for the larger society that is, well, made up of demons. Now, something that is overlooked about this anime lays in the premise itself. The way Kayushiriya, by the way, I've never learned how to pronounce his name. I tried searching it up on Google, but I couldn't find a pronunciation of his name, so I'm very, very sorry if I butchered it. But the way that the author of Promised Neverland replaces humans in place of animals in the real world is stunning. If you think about it, when you're watching or reading this anime/manga, what are you feeling? Horror. From what? Demons. What is this anime trying to tell us? Us humans own farms. With what? Food. For what? The outside world that is filled with what? Humans that eat what? The animals we raise on that farm. Similarly, this concept is used in Promised Neverland, however the roles are more or less reversed. This is just a simple premise. I could go into much more detail, but I want this to be an interesting video for those who've seen the anime and for those who haven't, so I'll relax a bit on the storyline and move on to a more important aspect, the characters. You might be thinking to yourself, how could the characters be more important than the storyline itself? Well, you see, in this case, this story wouldn't be what it is if it didn't have the likes of Emma, Ray, and Norman. Each character is perfectly crafted into what one might call the ultimate "we gotta get the heck out of here" group. Now, speaking of getting the heck out of here, if you're still here, you're most likely a true-to-heart anime fan and find Promised Neverland very intriguing, and for that reason, you should take this moment to hit that subscribe button and turn the notifications on so that you never miss any other videos. Back to our main cast, Emma being the athlete, Norman being the all-around genius, and Ray being a very careful, cautious, and strikingly smart character. We watch as these three find their way out of this hole they're trapped in, and that's where the antagonists come in. Not just any antagonist. We're talking about the antagonist that won the freaking Crunchyroll Anime Awards 2020, baby. We're talking Isabella? I'm kidding, no question there, Isabella claps cheeks in this field. I mean, you really can't write a better antagonist than Isabella the freaking GOAT. Let me break down why she's just, well, so perfectly made. She's, well, how do I put it? Her aura is just so insidious. Her mere presence in every scene adds a chilling vibe to it, a vibe that leaks constant dread and fear as to what is to come. Every time we see her, it creates this sort of tension, keeping us on the very edge of our seats, patiently praying nothing goes wrong. The suspense her character brings to the anime is like no other. Her character design is one that I dare say is perfection. Every emotion ever registered on her face is just plain creepy and cold. Everything from her fake heartwarming smiles to her absolute panic face to her I've got everything under control grin, they all send a chill down our spine. And the fact that she's given the superior position from the start is just, well, unfair really, but also adds to her demeanor. It's this notion of love that we mentioned earlier that she is easily able to maneuver about. This ability alone makes her the strongest antagonist of the first season. However, don't mistake this for fake love. You see, the sad reality is she does indeed love the children and want what's best for them. We see this at the very end of the first season when we're given a background of her previous life and how tragic it really was. It's this exact reason that makes her, well, unbelievably unpredictable and that much creepier. Don't even get me started on how well the anime does to make her seem as if she's, well, almost everywhere. Even when the anime is not focused on her, there's still this feeling of uncertainty whether she would pop out of nowhere only to find the kids going over some secret plan. Her mere presence itself is one to keep you on edge, and her presence alone is what builds this anime. Now, aside from the horrific premise and the intriguing characters, there is an aspect of this anime that people tend to overlook. That aspect, ladies and gentlemen, is the one aspect that I literally talk about in almost every single one of my videos when I'm breaking down anime because it's so overlooked, and I don't understand why people tend to, I feel like people just tend to look at it and be like, oh, well, that's just animation, you know, that's what anime is all about. But no, there's more to it than that, and that aspect is the camera work, the angles used, the body movements, the animation, and the music given off to give the exact vibe that was meant to be given. Take, for example, this scene of them walking up the stairs. We notice that this is one of the only scenes done in the first person point of view. But why? Why is it that the scene alone needs a first person point of view? Take a closer look. Open your ears. It's almost as if you can feel the intensity burning right through you as you await what happens next. It's really a thing to behold, and add this to the suspenseful music and sound effects used throughout this anime, and it really can't get any more thriller than that. With all these being said, there are far more beautiful camera angles used that I dare say are used to absolute perfection in order to really hit you with the feeling of what's to come next. The soundtracks used throughout the anime are more or less disturbing to a certain degree. The soundtracks do a good job of building suspense and allowing the viewer to understand the depth of the situation. Now, lastly, although this comes into the characters as previously mentioned, the facial expressions. The facial expressions play a key role throughout this anime to, again, just like the music, allow the viewer to understand the depth of the situation. In other words, these facial expressions give us an understanding of how deeply affected the character is by what was happening. It builds a string of emotion that can connect with us, the outside perspective. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my breakdown of this darn near perfect anime. Yes, I am ahead reading the manga, and all I will say is y'all are in for a ride. Make sure to smash that subscribe button if you enjoyed today's video. I know I messed up quite a bit, and I mean, I just, it's, you know, it is what it is, man. If you don't want to subscribe, gosh darn it, just, I don't know, but, you know, if you're nice human being, you'll hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you never miss another video. And I guess till then, see ya.